everyone, Miss GoElectric here. Now, I know a lot of people that have bought an e-bike with the intent to replace their vehicle for certain tasks, whether that's going to the grocery store or taking their kids to school. But the problem is most e-bikes aren't really equipped to do just that in an effective manner because they can't take a whole load of groceries or they can't comfortably fit a child on the back, or two in this case. And that's where this bike comes in front of me. This is the Flyer L885 cargo electric bike. Let's dive into the features and specifications and then take it out for a ride review. The Flyer L885 is originally priced at $1,999, but I have it equipped basically with every single option available. But let's start off with the basics. This has a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery that's integrated into the frame here. That's equivalent to 720 watt hours. And that is gonna get you anywhere between 30 to 50 miles of range. Flyer says that the rear hub motor produces 500 watts of power. Now, I don't know if that's continuous or peak, but I guess we'll find out pretty soon. Now that is in the rear wheel, which is a 20-inch tire by 3 inches wide. And that's a little bit smaller than the front wheel, which is 26 inches by 3 inches wide. And that's really gonna create a lower center of gravity, and Flyer says it's gonna help with aerodynamics since the passengers or cargo in the back is sitting a little bit lower. Now that's the power, but let's talk about the star of the show, which is this aluminum frame. They call this a Longtail, and this can support a maximum weight of up to 400 pounds. That's 25 pounds up in the front rack, 220 pounds for the rider, and 150 pounds on the rear rack. That can even fit 2 kids. By default, the rear rack has flat wood panels, and I've actually opted for this cargo basket. It is huge. This is gonna be able to support a whole load of groceries for me. But the neat thing about this rack is that it actually folds down so that you can put kids in the back to ride. You'll also notice back here there's a footrest and a guard over the wheel so that you don't get things stuck in the spokes. Continuing talking about the frame, you'll notice that where the rider's gaze is, all the welds are blended out nearly perfectly. You can't even detect where those joints are. But when you look at the back of the bike, you can definitely see them. I wish they would have taken more time to buff these out a little bit more. This paint finish is absolutely beautiful. It's one of 4 different colors that you can choose from. And I really wish that they would have had this red finish on the battery here, but it is nice that it matches the same tone that's on the back of the bike. I also added a front rack, and as you can see here, this cloth basket is what comes with it. But what's neat is that they have a lot of accessories that you can actually include that are waterproof. So this, if you are going on trips where it might get a little bit wet, will keep all your things protected, and it's very high quality. While I'm up here talking about the front basket, you probably noticed the front fork. Now this one is made out of steel, there's no suspension on this bike, but one unique thing that they've integrated here that I like is they've attached a spring on the back of the fork and attached it to the frame on the other side. And what that does is it helps the wheel track straight by default. One last thing that I want to talk about on this frame is that it has a kickstand that is dual-sided, so it really keeps it balanced when it's parked, and this way you can really load in all of your groceries or your kids in the back and it won't tip over. And of course, in every one of my e-bike reviews, I talk about how I think for the casual rider, all those types of bikes should have integrated lights and fenders, and this one does. It has a light off of the front, and then the one off the back is actually integrated into the fender. Now let's talk about the brakes and shifting. First, the brakes. These are Tektro mechanical brakes that are paired with 180 millimeter rotors. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised that they went with mechanical, because if this bike can support up to 400 pounds of payload, you probably want a lot of stopping power, and hydraulic brakes are really great performing for that kind of feature. But they are paired with the 180 millimeter rotor, so hopefully this will provide good stopping power. This is a Shimano 7-speed gear set, which consists of a sys-index shifter up front and then a tourney derailleur on the back. Now this is an entry-level system, but it is Shimano, which is a brand name nonetheless, so it should be pretty decent. The last thing I want to talk about is one of my favorite add-ons for this bike, and that is the extended range battery that's mounted right behind the seat post. This gives me an additional 15 amp hours of capacity, so bringing it to a total of 30 amp hours. That's nearly a kilowatt hour and a half of capacity, and that's amazing for a bike like this. Flyer says that's up to 100 miles of range, and I want to really test this out, so I think it's time for me to take it out for a ride. All right, I am gonna start off this review pedaling this bike with no assist. As you guys know, I like to do this in my reviews because it shows how easy or how hard it might be even if the battery dies. And in this bike, this is a pretty heavy bike. It's 73 pounds and it's a Longtail, so I have a lot of that weight in the back as well. But no assist on right now. I'm pedaling, I'm in the 4th gear. This is a Shimano 7-speed gear set with the Sys-Index shifter. This isn't my favorite style of shifter just because I prefer a mechanism that is right underneath the handlebar that I use my finger and thumb to adjust. But regardless, this bike is doable to pedal without any assist. I'm on a flat surface. I can definitely feel it in my legs, but ultimately I think I wouldn't want to pedal for too long in this mode if I had to. But the nice thing about this bike is that you have the option to get that extended range battery, and I just think that's a game changer for a bike of this use case that has the capability to, you know, make longer treks to the grocery store, carry a lot of cargo with you. So although like the things like the tires are pretty efficient because of the tread, you have the capability of going even further with this extended range battery. But enough of riding around without no assist. Let's get to the fun part. I'm going to turn it up to the first pedal assist mode. And this is a cadence sensor. Actually, I'm going to slow down and come to a stop because I believe the pedal assist is going to kick in when I'm going at lower speeds. So let's start off with 0 miles per hour and then kick in first pedal assist. All right, so definitely can hear the motor kicking in now. And it is pretty quiet in this first mode. I'm going about 7 miles per hour. I'm in the 4th shifting point once again, but really smooth power. It is not a big push. It's very mild. So let's take it up to that second pedal assist mode. Whoa, that's much more power. I'm in that 4th gear still, and my legs are starting to get to the point where they're moving around a lot. I got a little bit of resistance, but this is good power in pedal assist too. Let's see how that cadence sensor does take a while to kick in and turn off. As you can hear, it's like 3 rotations of the pedal, so yeah, it is very delayed. This cadence sensor probably needs more magnets, better calibration to get it to be more responsive. The thing about it though is the fact that this is a cargo bike and you might have a lot on board with you. A gradual power delivery is probably going to be rather useful. Pedal assist 2 is great performance off the line, but about 10-12 miles per hour or so in this mode. And then you don't really hear after you get up above 10 miles per hour that motor kicking in. Let's move it up to pedal assist 3. So you see, it just takes a long while for it to kick in. My legs are going crazy now, so in pedal assist 3, I would definitely need to shift up, get myself some more resistance. And they're still spinning, and I'm all the way up now in the 7th gear. It's a little bit better, but my knees are bouncing back and forth from pedaling, but I can push it a little bit more. Now I'm in the 7th shifting point, and I can get up to about 14 miles per hour. Still putting in a little bit of work now that I'm up in the 7th gear, but about 13, 14 miles per hour is pretty good performance out of this. All right, let's take it up to pedal assist 4. A lot more power, so that's a good burst there. It is fairly gradual. Yeah, it takes about 3 or 4 rotations of the pedal for you to get power, so I feel like it would be better if it was more responsive and precise. But as you can see, I can pick up the pace here. My legs are going nuts, although I'd love to see more gears on this and have it married a little bit better with the speed and pedal assist. Because, you know, in this case, if I'm pedaling, I definitely want to be able to experience some resistance. Off the line, the pedal assist 4 is really responsive though. This is a bike, definitely if you have some cargo on board, that you would want to make sure and be in the lower pedal assist modes, just to be very cautious so you are managing that weight. Let's go up to pedal assist 5. And I'm in the 7th shifting point. And it looks like I've hit pretty much a max here of about 20 miles per hour. Now, I could probably pedal a little bit harder and maybe get a little bit faster. But this is a class 2 bike. It is rated for 20 mile per hour top speed on all their documentation, so pretty good performance though, I would say, when you get up into those higher levels of pedal assist. I just wish the cadence sensor was a little bit more responsive. All right, now I'm gonna stop here. We'll use this as my starting line so that I can do throttle test. I'm gonna actually leave it in the 5th pedal assist mode here so that I can make sure I get the maximum performance. I'll find out in a little bit if that is tied to the throttle, because sometimes with e-bikes, you can only go a certain miles per hour depending on what pedal assist level you're in while you're using the throttle. So let's start off with the highest mode to see if we can maximize that throttle in this bike. So it's a half twist throttle on the right. I do prefer to see a thumb throttle, but I've been riding this a little bit and there's some things that I do like about it. So let's test this out and see how it performs. 3, 2, 1. Nice and gradual, but gets up to speed really quickly, in my opinion. And we're maxed out at about 20 miles per hour here. Just shy of 20 and 19.8. There we go, we hit 20. Great throttle performance. I'm gonna drop it down a little bit and then change to, say, 2. Yep, so doesn't matter what pedal assist mode you're in, you'll have full access to the throttle power no matter what, and that's 20 miles per hour. Something that I noticed while using this throttle is that it feathers really nicely, so even though I tend to like a thumb throttle, this half twist throttle is very precise, so like I can twist it just a little bit, you hear the power just start to kick in, and it's only giving me a certain amount from the motor. So I can consistently stay that 12 miles per hour. It's really nice on how precise the throttle is, and a nice gradual transition up to speed. Although I wish it was a thumb throttle, I think that it's pretty good performance for a half twist. Now, one thing I tend to like with half twist throttles, and it doesn't become, you know, a sticking point for me that it's not a thumb throttle, is when they integrate cruise control so that you don't have to hold your hand back all the way. Because on this throttle, it has this indentation here, and I could feel like that would, over time, since it's a hard plastic, I could feel that maybe bothering my hand when I'm twisting it back for an extended period of time. Now the grips on this bike are really wide, and they're this rubberized material that I really like. They have some texture on it, not too much, but the other thing about this is that you can actually adjust the stem down here, and you can make the handlebars come up towards you more so that you're not putting too much pressure down on those handlebars. I'm sitting fairly upright, but the positioning isn't up as far as it could go. And so if you do want that experience of sitting more upright, you really can make that adjustment here with the stem, and I think that is a great feature. Now, as far as the saddle goes, that comfort, I would definitely swap this out. And this bike doesn't have a suspension at all. It has a steel fork up front and no suspension off the back. And it's a cargo bike, so I get that, but I think this is the perfect candidate for a suspension seat post to make it a more comfortable ride for, you know, the main rider. And as far as the saddle goes, this is just too stiff for me. I don't like the shape of it. I feel like I'm falling off of it. Next thing I want to try out is a full brake test. So let me get up to speed so that I'm going 20 miles per hour. This would probably be important since this is a pretty heavy bike and you'll have a lot of cargo on it potentially. But let's come to a full stop here. It actually stays pretty well balanced. It is a wide tire, so I didn't feel like I was going to lose control at all on this particular surface. So good performance out of these brakes. Now these are Tektro mechanical brakes. I still think I might like hydraulic brakes, just performance and maintenance wise over these mechanical brakes, but they do perform pretty well, so that's a good sign. One thing to note is that if you are ready to switch the battery that you're utilizing, if you have the extended range battery, the one in the frame versus the one that you have behind the seat post, all you have to do with the computer screen is double tap the power button, and you'll notice on the gauge that it changes to B2 there. So that's the second battery. Really easy change. B1 now, I just changed it back, but really simple and easy to change which battery you're pulling from. Now, this bike is truly built for cargo utility, either putting kids in the back, you know, your dog in the back, or even on the front. This basket would be doable, but I want to test out and see how much I could fit in the back as far as groceries go. So let's take it over to the store and see if I can do a full trip and fit it in the back of this rear rack. Well, this is a full week's full of groceries. And not only does it fit back here, I could fit even more. This really is the natural habitat for this bike. With all my other e-bike reviews, usually I pick a place for the wrap-up that's in nature, in a scenic location, because that's where riders will ride those types of bikes. And you can definitely take this bike to the park as well, but I think this is the environment where most riders that get this bike are going to utilize it. And it's not like other e-bikes that you just could use to go up to the grocery store and get 1 or 2 items and put in your basket. This can fill up for a full week. So whether you're going to the grocery store, the hardware store, do all of your shopping with this bike. You can also take your kids to school. So what better place to talk about the things that I like and the things that I like to see improve. First, let's talk about the things that I like. The frame on this bike is a very beautiful paint finish, and there aren't any visible welds where the rider's gaze is up front. And I think that they've done a great job of blending a really modern and fresh design with its historic nameplate of Radial Flyer. It's not too childish, but it's brought into an era that it is very premium feeling. Also regarding the frame, even before you add the front basket and the rear basket here, there's still a lot of cargo capability, and it's simply beautiful. They include these wood panels that really make the bike look very premium as well. And speaking of the front and rear basket, I would highly recommend purchasing these if you're going to purchase this bike, because it just increases the versatility so much. They're very high quality as far as the materials go, and especially with the rear rack, I like that you have the flexibility to zip these down and secure them to the bottom rails and then have kids ride in the back. And actually, I can even ride in the back because I'm about 150 pounds, and that's what the weight support is back here. But if you don't want to spend the extra money on the accessories, this bike does come with everything you need. It has integrated lights and fenders, which I think all casual riders should have on their e-bikes. As I mentioned before, one of my favorite features on this bike is the option to add an extended range battery here, which provides up to 30 amp hours of capacity. That's going to get you anywhere between 50 and 100 miles of range, and that's super important when you're carrying pretty heavy loads. The last positive observation I'd like to make about this bike is the performance of the throttle. Now, I don't usually like a half twist throttle, but if you're gonna do it, I like the fact that this one is very precise and you can really feather it at lower speeds so that if you do need to turn around, you're not gonna get yourself in a situation where you're gonna crash. It's very controllable. Now on to the things that I think Flyer could do in order to make this bike even better. First, starting off with the saddle here. It's not as comfortable as I would like. It is very firm, and it actually isn't as wide as I expected because of the shape of the seat. Now, I think for under $100, I would probably get a suspension seat post and a different saddle to make this a very comfortable ride. Next is in regards to the power delivery while in pedal assist. This bike has a cadence sensor that is rather delayed, and it delivers power unexpectedly and is kind of unsettling. I really wish that they would tighten it up and have a more precise pedal assist. This bike has mechanical Tektro brakes with really big rotors, so it does have the stopping power to bring you to a complete stop even if you have a load with you, but I would really like to see hydraulic brakes, not only because of this price point, but also because of the performance. I wouldn't have to squeeze as hard on these brakes to stop it, and also a maintenance factor. The last thing I'd like to see improved is the kickstand. Now, it does a great job of stabilizing and supporting all this weight in the back when I have it up, but it is really hard to get the bike up on the kickstand. I don't really know what the solution is, but I wish it was easier. Now, I've seen a lot of other cargo bikes, and to be honest, they're not very good looking, but this one definitely is, and it also feels very premium. I would definitely recommend this bike if you're looking for something that has a lot of utility and looks good to be seen on. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you're interested in buying a Flyer L885, please use the link in the description below. Flyer might help support the Miss GoElectric channel if they find we're helping their customers find the right bike for them. Well, until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.